Iranians were getting stuff through the Strait. They blocked everybody else, and I'm told they had sold like 1 million barrels of oil since the war at a much higher price. So there have been, I've seen serious people proposing this for weeks, the idea of cutting off the Strait.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think when we look back on this moment, we will not talk about the individual war here or the individual choices about the Straits of Hormuz. I think we will look back and see a quarter century of America trying to solve a problem of the Middle East and instead managing a problem in the Middle East. And that this war looks once again like an attempt to solve the problem by Donald Trump. He thought he could do it differently or better than his predecessors for the last 25 years. And here we are, and it looks a whole lot like where we started.
Donna, it was interesting seeing you had J.D. Vance, who had not really been a part of the, central to the war effort as far as we can tell, being sent on this mission to lead the delegation. Historic, by the way. This is the highest level talks between the Iranians and the Americans since 1979. At the very moment that he came out to announce no deal, take a look at this split screen. We had the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, on the right there, at the UFC fight with the president, seeming to be enjoying the championship fight, while the Vice President of the United States was announcing no deal. What are the stakes here for J.D. Vance?
Well, the stakes are very high, clearly because J.D. is, the Vice President is known as someone who is a peacemaker. He's not for these so-called forever wars in the Middle East and elsewhere. I thought it was like a dog sniffing exercise where, you finally got a chance to, take a look at the other side and to begin to put all of the cards on the table. I agree. I think this is round one. What am I watching right now? I'm watching some of the other key indicators. The United States military, will we resume bombing? I'm watching Israel. Will they resume bombing in Iran? I'm also watching, what happens with this blockade. Will the United States finally get some of our Gulf allies and European allies to join us? And of course, I'm watching what happens on Tuesday when Israel sits down with Lebanon. Will they begin to figure out how to stop the war? But no, this was a dog sniffing exercise where you size up the other side and then hopefully you go back to the table and begin to some serious negotiations.
There's a lot of sniffing. This was a very long meeting. Went on, it was an all-nighter. But Kevin, you said something interesting right before we came on the air here, that Trump loves that image of him being at the UFC fight while, the talks are underway.
This is where I think people misinterpret the president. He's communicating directly to Iran. When he says the things he does in the tweets, they're not for you or I. They're to them. So he's telling them they're not getting through. What he was telling Iran and those negotiators right then, I don't have to have a deal. I'm very comfortable. And where is he? He's in a fight match that's tough, that he shows people can win, and he's got Marco right next to him. If that's part of the negotiation, that gives America a stronger hand. If you're Iran and you're thinking that, this guy doesn't care. This guy's tough. This guy's going to shut down what money or oil we're getting, and now they're taking the mines out and we don't have a Navy to replace them. Maybe I should negotiate. And if JD said no nuclear weapons and he's willing to walk away, that's
but he doesn't
really
want this.
strong hand.
But the bottom line is the military is fully still present in the Persian Gulf.
Exactly, that puts a fear on.
But are we going to be back in a war? Is the ceasefire going to be over with, or is this?
And that's
I think this is part of the negotiations to end it. You've got to show all your. The fear of the military is almost greater than when you use it. Because if we wipe everything out, they have no more fear. He's showing greater strength that they can't have money now. They can't control the strait, and you can't have a nuclear weapon. You should pick
But beyond symbolism, which I understand, the American people are tired and frustrated with this war. They're tired of the gas prices. They're tired of the uncertainty. So there's some domestic risk that the president has to also take into consideration. He needs an off-ramp. He needs to figure out what constitutes victory so that the American people, we're proud of the military, but the American people want to see some ending results and a strategy going forward.
But this is exactly why your point was so spot on. Iran knows that Trump has a domestic problem with this war and with gas prices. He needed to communicate to them that he was not going to cave. He was not in a weaker position here. And he's, as you said, quite comfortable with his domestic position.
It was also wild to see him go after Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, Megyn Kelly, and the
Well, it's a
harshest
day ending in
possible
life.
Alex
term.
Jones. Woo.
So I want to